We're all right. Let's do it. It's another 5-minute post-game show, courtesy of Post Game Pints, Campbell and Gallo. Mitch, we are at the Bell Center just after the Canadiens swept the Winnipeg Jets. Are we doing a post-game show of this game or a post-game show of this series? Tyler Toffoli set up by Cole Caulfield for another moment by the Canadiens.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little from column A and a little from column B, Campbell, when it comes to a post game on the series or the game tonight. And you talk about that overtime winner. Well, it was very fitting that that's how the game was going to end, because the Canadiens controlled play through the 3 periods. Yes, it was 2-2, but the Winnipeg Jets had no business being in that game. The Canadiens were by far the better team, so they deserved the victory that they got, and a heck of a pass from Cole Caulfield. You know, we hear so often what a great shot he has, but now it's a couple times in the playoffs where he actually delivers with a really nice assist.
Yeah, what a play that was, and just the overtime and the whole game, Mitch. Just I kind of felt like even if the Jets won, the Jets were still done. And I know that it was about building a nugget and trying to get some sort of momentum, but I didn't see anything from the Jets tonight, and they were trying to be patient and capitalize on Canadians' mistakes. There was like no sense of urgency from the get-go from the Jets in this series, and the Canadiens just took advantage of that and just walked all over them. Dominic Ducharme after the game said that they played a better game 4 than they did in game 5. They won better game 4 than they did in game 3. They won game 3 5-1. They won this one in overtime 3-2. So yeah, I kind of agree with them a little bit. I thought that they were very solid from start to finish.
Yeah, Sean, just going back to the Jets, I think it was kind of predictable that they were going to be in this situation at some point. Just take a look at how they finished their season. I know they kind of got things back on the rails at the very, very end, but they went through some miserable times for the last 10, 15 games of their schedule. They had issues with Hellebuck. They had issues with Scheifele. They had players that weren't going. Ehlers was hurt. There was a lot of question marks for Winnipeg going into the playoffs. They find a way to win 3 times in overtime against the Edmonton Oilers. Mike Smith in one of those games wasn't very good, and they get past Edmonton, but Montreal showed that they're a team that has come together. They play as a unit. Their system is hard to beat, and they know how to shut down the other team when the other teams have top-end talent. So you got to give full marks to Montreal to make Winnipeg look as lackluster as they did.
And they did it without Jeff Petrie. They started using depth defensemen. Kulak had to pick up some more minutes. I thought he was very solid picking up an assist. Gustafsson scores a goal. It's these depth guys that were actually getting into the mix. Alexander Romanov got his first playoff game. He was super excited to be there. And then you look at the 4 group just as a whole in the series. I mean, what a series for Danault, Gallagher, and Lehkonen, who took over for Evans in that role. And then you think about what Suzuki, Toffoli's moments, and Caulfield setting up, and Suzuki with some big goals. And then what can we say about the Armia, Stahl, Perry line? And then, even Anderson and Byron Kotkaniemi, they weren't bad. They maybe didn't produce offensively like the other lines, but they were still providing things that the Canadiens needed.
Well, look, Sean, you just went through the Canadiens' full roster, basically.
Yeah.
And that's how this team was built. They were built with depth. They were built 4 lines and 3 pairs on the blue line. Not we're going to load up our top line and play those guys big minutes and hope that they can produce. And not that strategy's wrong, but that's just not the way the Canadiens were built. If they were going to be a successful team, they were going to come at you with 4 lines that can attack, players that can do different things, defensemen that you could rely on. And I know at times they got away from that on the blue line and didn't play their second pair, but when they needed to, those guys also came up and played some important minutes for the Canadiens.
And don't forget special teams, power play goals in a timely manner and timely shorthanded goals by the Canadiens. So, Mitch, they're in the Final 4. They are the top of the North Division. All these Canadian teams and bragging rights, the Canadiens have them right now, and it's Vegas or Colorado. We got 20 seconds. Is there a better matchup?
Maybe Vegas, but I think there's great stories with both the teams. Colorado has the higher top end skill, and Vegas a little bit deeper, but I see a good matchup either way.
Yeah, it should be fun. They're a great storyline. If you get Colorado, you get them in the retros. Get them in the retros. Quebec versus
Yeah,
Montreal.
buddy.
And if it's Vegas, it's the Pacioretty versus Suzuki story. And maybe Tatar if he gets into the mix. That's it for us. Another 5-minute post-game show, courtesy of Post Game Pies. Habs off to the next round with a sweep of the Winnipeg Jets. Oh, Mitch, you know, I don't care what time it is. It's time for a LaBrosse beer. Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.